So my name is Yves Raimond. I work for the BBC Research and Development department. I've been working for the BBC for about 6 years, and before that I did my PhD at Queen Mary, University of London. My PhD topic was about using semantic web technologies to manage music-related information. And through this PhD, I've been involved in quite a few projects, like the Linking Open Data project. So publishing lots of open data sets on the web and start interlinking all of them, and the music ontology as well, which is a vocabulary for describing music-related data on the web. When I joined the BBC, I started applying the same sort of approaches to a few BBC websites. And in particular, I've been involved quite a lot in the BBC Programs website, which is the place where you find all the program-related information on the BBC website. So if you look for any BBC program, such as Doctor Who, EastEnders, and so on, chances are that you will find this website and see all the information that it has to offer. And I think this website was one of the first ones to actually publish data as linked data. So if you stumble on any BBC programs page and request RDF information, you will see all the data that's backing that page. And since I joined BBC R&D, I'm working on quite a few projects, all of them sort of at the intersection of semantic web technologies and machine learning, automated metadata generation, and all these things. So working at the intersection of these two fields. I think the BBC is one of the largest broadcasters in the world, and yeah, it's quite big. It has been broadcasting radio since 1922 and TV since the 1930s. So there's a very large output. So quite a lot of the BBC is dedicated to building new programs. I think we broadcast between 1,000 and 1,500 programs each day. So there's a tremendous amount of content, and but another big side of the BBC is its website. There's quite a lot of work involved in building that website, and so we have a big news website, for example. We have lots of websites dedicated, for example, for wildlife or particular topics, food. So we have quite a huge website as well. And I've been mostly involved with that side of the BBC, so the web part. There's quite a lot of creative freedom in terms of how you approach your research and the problems you want to tackle and the way you actually tackle them. So compared to the rest of the BBC, we're a bit different in that we can really, if we think about an approach that we think would be more suitable for tackling a particular problem, we can just do it, gather lots of evidence that it is the case or it's not the case, and start making a case for it. So we are quite flexible in the way we approach our research and our work. I think we've traditionally been very innovative in quite a few places. So I think BBC iPlayer, for example, was one of the first catch-up service where you can watch the programs a week after they've been broadcast. And there's quite a lot of big innovations like that were driven by the BBC. Digital TV, for example, or quite a few things like that. So it's quite an innovative place, and I think its R&D department is really at the forefront of trying and drive that, so that's probably why it's so attractive, I guess. Right, so my keynote is divided in two main parts. The first part talking about how we currently make use of semantic web technologies on the BBC website. So actually when you go on the BBC website right now, there's quite a lot in there that's using some kind of semantic web technologies. So the first part of my speech will be about that. So explaining what part of this production website is actually driven by semantic web technologies, and a bit of history as well. So how we actually came to that point and the various projects we built to get to that point. The second part of my keynote will be more about future uses of semantic web technologies, and in particular projects that we're investigating within the R&D department at the BBC. And specifically, I will talk about an archive-related project. So as you would expect, the BBC has a very large archive and has accumulated a very large archive over the years. And parts of this archive are very well annotated and described by archivists, but other parts are a bit left out with very poor metadata, and it's very difficult to find any content within it. So one approach that we are evaluating right now in BBC R&D is to, for these parts of the archive that are a bit isolated and not well described, to try and automatically derive as much linked data, described content, as we can. So for example, identifying the topics in the program, but identifying them with linked data UIs, identifying the various speakers in that program, trying to segment the programs into coherent chunks as well. So trying to derive as much metadata as we can automatically, using all this metadata to publish the archive and put it in front of end users. But as you know, most automated processes will always have some degree of inaccuracy, so some of that automated data will be inaccurate. So we ask for users to validate or invalidate the various bits of data that were automatically derived, so that we can evaluate our algorithms, of course, refine the search and the navigation within this archive, but also improve our algorithms as we go along, so that our algorithms learn what constitutes a good annotation, what constitutes a bad annotation from the user's perspective. So yeah, it's really about investigating whether there's a way to publish very large archives which involves both machines, so algorithms and our users. And yeah, so trying to publish large archives very quickly and very easily. So I think this whole sort of combination of mixing machine learning and crowdsourcing or user validations is really extremely interesting. I think there's a lot to be gained from making machine learning algorithms and crowdsourced data interact and feed into each other. So creating these sort of virtuous circles where the user feedback on the algorithms getting it right or wrong, and the algorithms getting more and more accurate as time goes along. I think that there's a tremendous opportunity there in terms of research. Computers? No, that's the wrong answer. There's lots of things I like outside of work, but I have a young baby, 7 months old. She makes me very happy. And in terms of work, I think anything to do with very large. I'm quite fascinated by archives and the sort of institutional memory that it holds. So I think there's a lot to be learned and gained from looking back at all these massive multimedia archives over the last century. And there's a lot of things that we could learn. There's a lot of mistakes that we could learn from as well. So I think it's fascinating to try and open it up as much as we can and to make it as easy as possible to dig within these massive archives and to find very specific segments of content or bits of content that are about a specific topic, for example. I think it's really, really important. And the more it happens, the more happier it makes me.